In 1897, American humorist, novelist, and social critic Mark Twain was in London. This is part of a world tour when rumors sprang up that, well, he was dead. When a newspaper had published his obituary, Twain replied, well, the report of my death was an exaggeration. That seems to be the case with lots of so-called meme stocks and even Bitcoin, whose investors have become a favorite target of financial media criticism. Joining me now, Treys from YouTube, Trey Collins. Hey, Trey, you know, Hollywood kills over $50 million at the box office, even though it was streaming at the same time. Is this more proof the movie theaters can't coexist with streaming?
Hey, Charles, well, as always, it's a blast to be on here and talking with you. I think a great analogy to use is I like watching Vikings games at home, right? Eating some wings, having a couple of drinks. But I also just bought some Vikings-Lions tickets. You know, it's fun to go out and experience the game in person and to be entertained. And ultimately, that's what movie theaters are in comparison to streaming. They're never going to die. It's the same thing as going to a restaurant. People like to eat a burger at home. People like to eat a burger out in town, you know?
and plus, the Vikings should beat the Lions, right? So if I'm going to any Vikings game this year, it's going to be against the Lions. I don't want to digress too much.
Yeah. So everyone feels like a loss. I don't know what it is.
So let's talk about, though, the AMC thing, because, you know, obviously a lot of folks out there rooting against this whole thing. And someone mentioned recently that the short interest has come down and that the stock was going down at the same time. I tell you what, is making a pretty nice move right now. What's the proposition vis-a-vis short interest? Is that the main thing anymore?
You know, the short interest is definitely important, Charles, but that's one piece of a very massive, complex puzzle. I think the most interesting thing about AMC is the derivatives market. The calls and the puts for this specific security are so heavily traded that you can actually hide a massive amount of short interest in the puts, and I think that's what you're watching happen. Right. So this stock is constantly being hedged to the downside anytime that there's any push because of the massive amount of derivatives that there are. I'm more paying attention to that. I want to see puts getting absolutely burned. I want to see premiums getting smoked, and that to me is going to really ignite the fire that's going to drive the short interest down and then the stock price up.
Hey, speaking of which, the financial media, you know, they always kind of talk about AMC as a loser because it's off the highs of the year. The stock is up 1,823% this year. I mean, imagine that, the psychology of trying to make someone feel like a loser for owning a stock up 1,800%.
Man, that's the guys like Chanos that want people to think that at the end of the day, this so-called smart money, they can keep calling themselves smart money because that sounds pretty stupid to me. I don't know. They can think whatever they want.
Yeah, well, Chanos is short Tesla too. I noticed a lot of folks who short Tesla and lost $50 billion last year like to pick on AMC as well. I'm gonna have to let you go in a minute, but yeah, I'm rooting for the meme stock buyer, in part because I also want them to be in this market forever. I want them to broaden their portfolios ultimately. Are you starting to see signs of that?
I think before you take the stairway to the Kraken Kingdom, first you got to start on the first step. And to me, that's what happened in January. I think people are eager to learn, but they're far more eager to figure out the answers to why the buy button was taken away. How do we take care of payment for order flow? How do we take care of two-day transaction settlements? Those are the things that retail's really focused on so that we can play in a fair market. And then they're going to want to buy stocks and diversify the way that everybody should be able to. But first things first, fair market, and that's what I want to see, and that's what everybody else wants to see.
So it's still a matter of trust and fairness.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Trey.
Absolutely, Charles. I don't think the regular person believes the market's not rigged. I think it's a statistic somewhere.
Yeah, I've always said it's rigged. I've written 2 books in the market. I've said as much in the market. I'm glad, though, that people are fighting back, particularly people like Trey. And by the way, he's going to be joining me in our new Investor Revolution Town Hall. It's on November